Welcome to Strata. I'm Glenn.
And I'm Brandon. Welcome to the Minds on Muscle podcast.
Hello, everybody. My name is Glenn.
And I'm Brandon.
And we are on another episode of the Minds on Muscle podcast. Brandon, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Honestly, I'm really excited. As soon as we finish this podcast, unfortunately, because of this gosh darn lockdown, can't have everybody in here. But I'm going to film a nice tour of the gym and really showcase our equipment in our facility. I'm really excited about that. How are you doing?
I am excited as well. I love doing the podcast. It's the best part of my Tuesdays now. And after this, I'm actually also looking forward because I've managed to figure out a way to film some exercises in my basement. And I'm excited to get those out because I've been wanting to try around with adding some exercises to some of the programs I do via YouTube clips, and finally got the time and the knowledge to do it. Thanks actually largely to you telling me and educating me on how to do lighting, which kind of actually segues really nicely in today's episode, our favorite health and fitness resources.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. And even just you saying that, I'm going to definitely talk about some film stuff now because I didn't even think about that when we planned for today. Yeah, but I'm excited for it too. I think no matter who you are, if you're a fitness consumer, if you're someone who wants to move pain-free, or you're a trainer and you want to really excel in your world of knowing as much as you can about this body, knowing more about business and all the things you need to succeed, I think all these resources are very pragmatic for everyone.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one thing to be listening to the podcast every week or a series of podcasts, but if you're somebody who's got these goals of really improving your body, whether it's moving better or the way it looks or getting better sleep, whatever that is, you need to have some base level of knowledge to help you get towards your goals. And today we're going to share with you all the different resources that have helped us and we think might help you as well, no matter if you're a fitness professional or you're somebody who's just working on their own health and wellness.
Love it. So Glenn, why don't you kick it off? You told me you got some exciting ideas. Let's see what you got.
Well, so the way I started looking at this is through different categories. And I know we didn't necessarily plan at the beginning of the show, but I broke it down into a couple different categories. And one of the first categories I had was certifications and organizations. Now, in the world of health and fitness, there is a limitless number of these. There seems like there's a plethora and new ones starting every week. And I've got a couple of my favorite ones. And the first one, probably not going to come as any surprise to you, but it's Exercise Pro Education and the Certified Muscle System Specialist program. Now, I won't go into this too far because we did a whole podcast about it. So you can actually look for the Certified Muscle System Specialist podcast in our previous episodes. But this is the course for me that really tied together how to be an amazing fitness and health professional. There's aspects of psychology, of how to run your business, of how to look at the human body, of how to work with it and progress it. It's probably the most comprehensive exercise and health program I've ever done personally. And Brandon, I know you've got some good things to say about it as well, because you actually teach for this educational program.
Yeah, I couldn't speak highly enough of it. And I got to be honest, there was a point in my career where I was fortunate enough to be teaching for several different organizations. I was really excited about it. But at one point, I decided that more to focus on Strata and helping, people like you and people that work here and our clients, that I really wanted to cut all that and focus on what was right in front of me in my town and really helping our small community. But there was definitely a time where I'd studied a lot of really unique, weird stuff, just like you, learning more about muscle systems, neuromuscular mechanics, really biomechanics, everything. But I was still frustrated because I still found myself that I didn't know how to operate a business. I didn't really know how to ethically sell and communicate what I do to the people that are in front of me. Yeah, and it's really tough. And to this day, I am very confident that most personal trainers that try to make a go as a personal trainer or open their own studio, unfortunately, will not succeed because they don't have a solid business foundation, a solid thought process, and a solid process in general where they can look at what systems and which place people are entering into their system, not to trick people into buying things, but so that way the consumer can really get a seamless experience and get the results that they want. Honestly, before the Muscle System Specialist program and its previous incarnation, the Client Intake program, I was really struggling. I was teaching and really working on trying to be a good teacher, but I didn't have the clients in front of me that I wanted to help. This program helped me communicate that to them. So if you're a trainer or you're someone who's thinking about entering into the exercise world and you truly have already worked on developing a skill set that makes you unique compared to other trainers, which I can't say how important that is, the Muscle System Specialist program will help you absolutely communicate that, convey that, and assess your ideas, clean it all up so that way, no matter who you want to help, you can help them. I love it. Thanks, Glenn.
Yeah.
I love that one.
Oh, listen, you're welcome. I'm glad you elaborated. And just as a quick add-on to your point, this for me is the foundational course. You ought to, if you're thinking about becoming a personal trainer or exercise professional, start here because it's going to give you a foundation of how to think about exercise and fitness that a lot of other courses won't. And so for me, top notch, I loved it. Brandon, I'm going to toss the ball back over to you. Do you have any organizations or certifications outside of the one we just talked about that you really believe in or that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, so there's a company I used to teach for as well, and a company I spent a lot of time investing and learning. I spent a lot of money on learning stuff from them, and I spent a lot of time flying to go to them. And frankly, I've spent a lot of time trying to see if there are alternatives that are doing what they're doing better, and I can't find anything better than the Resistance Training Specialist program. That program has evolved so much over the years, but the thing that I would take away from that is if you consistently review the information and you consistently practice it, but also really work on communicating it in a way that your clients and the people in front of you care about, you can really develop a thought process that I have not found in many other worlds outside of going to university degrees for mechanical engineering, going to law school, and all that stuff. That program absolutely has helped me develop a thought process to the point that no matter what I'm doing, whatever I see, whatever I try, whatever I talk to somebody else about, I know what questions to ask. Not necessarily because I know the answer, but I know the questions to ask so I can learn more, so I can make better decisions and get better results. I can't speak highly enough for the program. Tom Purvis, the founder, has put that program online, I believe under exerciseprofessional.com. So there's a ton of information online that you can access from not even leaving. For me at that time, Glenn, did you ever go to Oklahoma?
I did not. I did RTS 123 here in Toronto.
Nice. Before the online stuff, I mean, if you wanted to take advanced stuff, you had to fly to Oklahoma and you had to go sit in front of Tom, which is absolutely amazing, but it takes up a lot of time and a lot of money. Now you can spend a third of that money sitting in your basement and you can learn from Tom. I absolutely recommend it. But if you invest in it, practice, practice, practice. Honestly, you guys have heard me and Glenn talk about the study groups that we host here at Strata. I've been hosting a Wednesday exercise mechanics study group for 10 years. And you could ask the trainers that have been coming to them for 10 years, I think 8 or 9 years ago, and then he comes to most of them now. Chris and Taylor and a few other people here have been coming almost the whole time. You cannot review the basics of mechanics enough. You have to keep practicing. You have to keep rethinking. And frankly, every week I do one of those exercise mechanics study group from something I say, from something that someone says, from something that happens. I realize and learn something that just blows my mind. And it's all because of learning how to think better from the Resistance Training Specialist program.
Absolutely. And this is maybe not an end all be all litmus test, but I remember going to RTS 123. I think they called them lower body, trunk and spine, and upper body were the actual modules. And they were 3-day courses, or I guess 2.5 day courses in Toronto. And for me, it was such a mind-blowing experience going through and hearing all this information told in a totally different way. And the content and the thought process is so mind-blowing that if you go to these courses and you go there and you listen and you don't like it, I mean, I don't want to say like I'm coming down on anyone here, but that would be an opportunity to rethink how you're looking at exercise. And if this is something that you really, really want to do, because the RTS courses really do break down the mechanics in such a way that you can't go back afterwards. Like you have to take all that knowledge in and run with it. And I know some people that have gone through the RTS course and been like, no, it wasn't worth it. It's not for me. We kind of just wanted to learn some exercises. And listen, if you want to be the best fitness professional you can be, it's not about learning exercise. It's about learning the how and the why of any decision you're going to make to help you move forward with you and your clients. So highly recommend the RTS program. If you're really, really into it, when you go there, you are probably in the right profession.
Yeah, I can't speak to it enough for sure. On that note, well, Glenn, how about now before I go again? What else you got? You got another course that comes to your mind, the organization?
I have one more course organization. I guess you could kind of bracket into a company as well. So maybe that'd be a nice transition to something else that you have. But when it comes to nutrition, I'm not an expert. And I think a lot of people, when they look at personal trainers, they expect them to be an expert in nutrition and an expert in exercise and an expert in business. And it's really hard to be an expert in all those things. And at least for me, it behooved me to focus just on exercise. But I do a bit of reading and research on nutrition for my own sake and to give people some references to a place to go. And a company that I really like is actually a Canadian-based company, and it's called Precision Nutrition. It was founded by John Berardi, who is a PhD out of Western University. He has since sold the company, but Precision Nutrition, what they do really, really well is bring evidence-based nutritional practices, and they marry it with how to build really strong habits. And I find that a lot of people have the right information, but they don't know how to apply it to make it sustainable. So what Precision Nutrition does is they have their course and their certification. They teach personal trainers how to administer health and nutrition advice in such a way that it sticks for their clients. And they also offer coaching. If you are a person who just isn't a exercise professional, but just wants to improve the way they feel in their body, they have a program where they can set you up with a coach so that you get what you need. But for me, I put a lot of stock into people who can actually help people change their habits and grow for the long-term fitness, health, wellness, exercise. It is a process. It's not something you do for 12 weeks and then you forget about it, at least not in my mind. It's something that you want to create for the long term. So I really appreciate what Precision Nutrition is doing. They make things easy to digest, easy to jump on, and they really care about their clients. So for me, if you're someone who needs help with their health in terms of nutritional standpoint, or you're a trainer and you want to expand into the field of nutrition, Precision Nutrition has got an amazing certification, and the way they go about breaking down their education is, in my opinion, next to none.
That's fantastic. I love it. And I have never taken any of the Precision Nutrition courses because, frankly, I find diving into another realm of science as it relates to the body daunting, just because I know how much time and energy I've put into just studying mechanics and muscular adaptations to this point and making it practical. So I love that you've explored it and heard such great things and you've experienced such great things.
Well, listen, Brandon, I appreciate that. Do you have anything in terms of companies or websites or certifications that you want to piggyback off of here?
There have been a lot of really smart people over the years who've developed education programs and different organizations that kind of come and go. I mean, there's an organization that was around for a little while and they're not really active right now, but the Muscle System Consortia, which Greg Mack was a part of, Jacques Henry Taylor, Charlie McMillan, Kevin Dunn. And so I'm going to piggyback off something I said last week with my pick of the week, but bring it more in the forefront here, is that instead of looking for courses, in my opinion, looking for organizations you want to be affiliated with, carrying a flag and going, I'm a Stott Pilates certified trainer, I'm a resistance training specialist certified trainer, whatever it is, I would say figure out what it is that you want as a person trying to get in shape and or a trainer, and what level you want to reach, if it's a monetary level of success, a client demographic, whatever it is, a level of education, and find people that are at that level and hire them. Because honestly, an hour of consulting and mentorship with someone who's done what you want is so much more valuable than weekends and weeks of education courses, in my opinion. Even if you hire someone who's at such a high level, you're spending $250 for an hour of their time. The amount of wisdom you can get from someone and the advice you can get from their pitfalls and their successes, I think is absolutely fantastic. And it's something that I'm looking at doing right now. I'm looking through people that are in my world that I've known for a long time that are doing remarkable things. And how can I stand on their shoulders to go to the next level? And so all I would say to anyone that's listening to this is, know where you want to go, right? Because if you don't know where you're going to go, Cheshire Cat, any road will lead you there. If you know where you want to go, it's much easier to have a direction. Find those people that have succeeded to the level you want to reach, you want to be, and reach out and say, hey, I'd love to talk to you about what you've done to succeed. Happy to pay for your time. Let's go.
Amen, Brandon. I think finding a mentor is of pinnacle importance in whatever endeavor you're searching through to learn about and be the best in. And that's great advice. And even for myself, I sometimes forget that. And I look and I get in this fear-based place where I say to myself, I don't know if I can invest that kind of money right now. $200 for an hour of their time seems like a lot. But when you break it down and you look at just that course change that you might get for the ship that you're sailing, that's going to get you in the right direction. that investment of $200, $200 becomes invaluable, right? If you're going in one direction and you change your degree just 2 or 3 degrees to the right or to the left, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you're in a totally different spot than you would have been. I think that's a great analogy to discuss what kind of impact the right information will have on your growth and your ability to do whatever it is that you want.
Certainly. It's the smallest shifts beneath the surface that lead to an avalanche.
Ooh, Brandon, I like that.
There's another you, Tom. I won't lie.
Listen, standing on the shoulders of giants once again. Another company that I like, and this might be more in the realm. I mean, they do a lot of aesthetic stuff, but they actually have a lot of stuff on mechanics and physiology and anatomy as well, is Renaissance Periodization. So it was founded by a gentleman named Mick Shaw and his partner, Mike Israetel. And they have, I think it's 25 plus PhDs on staff. So they only employ people with PhDs, and they have like 1 or 2 people that have masters that are working towards PhDs on their staff. And what they do is they essentially produce evidence-based content for everyday people and personal trainers to improve their health and their wellness. Now, they focus a lot on aesthetics, and I think most people that follow them follow for aesthetics, but you can get Renaissance Periodization Plus or RP Plus for a nominal fee per month. And they have tons and tons of courses on physiology and anatomy and biology, university level, because they're all PhDs, for people to learn if they want to. And so there's, you can't get certified through their courses, but if you're just knowledge hungry and you want to go to a place where you can acquire university level knowledge, this is a great place to go for that. I can't sing their praises enough. I think they're phenomenal. They're all evidence-based, all PhDs, and it's a wonderful company. RP Plus, renaissanceperiodization.com. Check them out.
Beautiful. Last one I'll say on this realm, and it kind of leads into another section I'd love to talk about on the social media side of things, is, so this is a company I have actually not necessarily done any of the programs formally. I'm become casual with one of their owners, and I'd say that on Instagram, the N1 Education and N1 Training, they have some really creative ideas with exercises and how to create exercises to get specific adaptations. And they're trying to get into research, which is really cool. So if you want to just look at some new exercises, try some different movements, and learn about why they're doing it, I would definitely say check out the N1 Education, N1 Training by Kasim Hansen and his crew on social media. I can't necessarily speak to the programs, but I'm sure they're good if they're lined up with the social media content they're putting out there.
That's fantastic, Brandon. And you had also mentioned that it kind of transitions well into the next thing you want to discuss. What is that?
Well, talking about using social media as a resource. And so I would definitely front load this, that developing a thought process like we talked about through the Resistance Training Specialist program definitely helps you take a bunch of information and funnel it down to the very narrowest core root of what the objective goal or focus of that information is, and then how you can branch out from there. But I would say that I love using Instagram and YouTube as educational resources to learn about exercises, different physiological concepts, different approaches or biases in the fitness industry. Not so much so I can take them and go, that's a new exercise, kind of like you spoke to, but rather that I can look at them, play around with them and go, okay, so what are they trying to do? How have they demonstrated it? What type of resistance are they using? Would it be different if we used a free weight machine versus a pulley machine versus pneumatic resistance? And try to see, like a good mentor, the late Peter Chasen, would say is, can you look at it and can you find the merit in what they're saying mechanically? And then if you can or you can't, can you objectively improve it? So you take that movement or that exercise or that concept and make it more focused towards what you're trying to do. And I think that's really a cool thing. The challenge with it, and I'm sure that we've talked about this extensively, YouTube and Instagram and other social media platforms, there is a remarkable amount of fitness junk from fitness influencers and people who are in shape but don't know anything about exercise, which makes it really, really tough. But if you work on taking that lens of trying to funnel things down and examining quality versus not such great quality, it makes it a bit easier, and you can learn some really cool stuff, find some cool channels. I mean, even that Renaissance that you just spoke about, I've never even heard of them, but that already opens a whole doorway of new things for me, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, there is something about going to places for your information that have a low barrier to entry. anytime there's a very low barrier to entry, and YouTube is literally just an email address, and you sign up and you can be an influencer. Anytime there's a low barrier to entry, you really have to put your thinking cap on and be rational and healthily skeptical about what it is you are viewing. I mean, that's one of the great things about Renaissance periodization, is that the barrier for entry to even work for their company is a PhD. And so the odds that you're getting much better material is infinitely better than if you're going on YouTube and looking at some random schmo, right? Because a lot of YouTube and social media is how well do you brand yourself? And I understand you have to brand yourself if you are a entrepreneur or you are a business and a group of people looking to grow your brand. You have to do that. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but anytime there's a low barrier to entry, you have to be, as the consumer, a little bit more skeptical about what it is that you are viewing.
Completely. Yeah, completely agree. Now, on that note, one resource I think is, I speak to it quite a bit in the study groups. I've actually done quite large study groups on it, like the 2-hour business forums that we do. And YouTube is a great place for it, because I got to be honest, outside of gear, I have not spent $1 on education for this, really. Is film and visual creative studies, learning about how to film yourself, how to take photos, learning about composition, learning about lighting, learning about all of that stuff. Because nowadays, regardless if you like it or not, we are in such a, like, even right now, right? We're filming through Zoom, but Glenn and I both have high quality DSLRs with lenses on them to help us make it look cleaner. So that way, when this 1080p quality video gets broken down to 640 or whatever it goes to, even the lower quality will still look sharper than a proper webcam. This quality, these visual things, they're important nowadays, right? Movement and visuals sell a lot of what you're doing. And so the more you can learn about that, the better. And so one of my favorite examples, which I really haven't spoke to before on the podcast, was if you go to stratainternalperformance.com, there is this 6-minute colossal video that is really my best interpretation of everything we do here. Me explaining some of it, and there's all the trainers in it briefly, and we've got about 6 or 7 micro, like larger and smaller testimonials in it, all different demographics. And if you watch that video, you will see that we help people exercise and move pain-free. Like, that's the short of it, but it's 6 minutes long. I tried to hire someone to help me make that video years ago, and they wanted $3,000 to make that video. $3,000. And so me being a bit OCD about knowing exactly what I wanted, but not knowing how to get there, and having people wanting to see this business a certain way, but I didn't know how to do it. I took that money, invested into some gear. I spent a lot of time on YouTube learning about photography, visuals, just going outside and finding an ugly object and trying to take a pretty picture of it. And all of that turned into the kind of things that we're doing right now with the lighting behind us and how we're set up, the sound quality, and what I'm going to do after this to make the studio, show off the studio. So whatever it is that you do, even if you're not a trainer, but you're someone who's just listening to this and you're in a business in some degree, learn how to take better pictures, take better visuals, because it makes such a huge difference nowadays.
It's actually amazing. So, I mean, this isn't by any means a golden rule, but one of the ways I look at learning new things is if you get 20% into a field of knowledge, right? Whether it's photography or videography and all the things that encompass that to make your own videos, you've got already about 80% of the knowledge you need to make something that's great and crisp. I mean, I did not spend many hours watching YouTube videos. I may have spent 4 or 5 hours watching different YouTube videos to understand how to use the camera, how to change the lighting, this, that, and the other. And just by playing around with it over time, the videos got better and better and crisper. Now, I only spent, let's even be generous. Let's say, 20 hours learning how to use my camera, watching YouTube videos, playing with lighting, and then actually producing some of that content that I have used. It's already paid dividends. It doesn't take a lot. Now, it might seem daunting because it's a whole new field, but even if you just learn a couple of the key things that you need to use new equipment, you've already done most of the work that you need to produce your own content and save yourself a whole bunch of money and time later on when you want to produce your content, because it kind of sucks to, if you need great quality photos or video, to have to hire someone and bring them along and follow you along all the time. When you can get a stand, understand how to use remote apps, understand how to use the timer, get to know familiar video editing equipment. I mean, the video editor that I use, Wondershare Filmora, took me maybe an hour to understand and use intuitively. And here we are. I do the editing for the podcast. I do the posting the videos, and it's super easy. And so I can't agree with you more, Brandon, that spending a little bit of time and getting to know a new field will actually it'll just alleviate a lot of the issues that you're going to have as long as you're willing to put a little bit of time up front.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to come back to the thought process thing we talked about at the beginning, is that if you develop a thought process within exercise land, and then you learn a whole new skill of how to be creative and how to be more creative than you were the day before, even if it's in a totally different vein, that creativity and that skill set, it does transfer to other things. Because when you can take one of the exercises we did in the study group, and Glenn, I'm not sure if you saw this one, I actually really like it, is you take a random object. Literally all I did was I took some highlighters and I dumped them on a table. And I told everyone, take as many different perspective pictures of the exact same thing and post them, as many different pictures as you can, and make them all look entirely different. Right. And it kind of just elaborates the idea of when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And so I took like 7 pictures of literally highlighters dropped on a table. And you wouldn't use these pictures for anything remarkable, or maybe you would. I mean, that's kind of the idea, is that if you can get really creative with looking at nothing, when you're looking at something important, like designing an exercise for someone at home who has a band and a coffee table, it makes it so much easier to be able to visualize it, quickly construct some vision in your head, reverse engineer it, and then make it happen. So regardless of film and video, I think practice, I mean, I say this all the time, I can't speak enough to practicing being creative, because it transfers to everything.
Absolutely. And so as an adjunct to talking about some of this equipment and other tools, I got a couple that I'd like to share. One of them is actually Amazon and Amazon Kindle. Now, I love Amazon, and I think this day and age, most everybody has an Amazon Prime account or access to a Prime account. And what's really great, especially if you are in health or fitness, or really anyone, I guess I shouldn't say especially health and fitness, is that you have access to all kinds of equipment at the click of a couple buttons, and it'll get to you within a few days. Brandon and I are working on some projects, and he suggested I get a band set, and I literally went on Amazon. It took me 30 seconds to find it, add it to my cart, buy it, and it got here 2 days later, and I'm already using it. And it's as crazy as it sounds, Amazon did the world such a service by disrupting our traditional model of shopping and allowing us to get things within a day or two. Because a day or two is something that we're willing to wait for something. If it was 4 or 5 days, we might go out and have to go buy it, or we might not just buy it at all. But by them offering free delivery, not free delivery, delivery for $80 per year, right, to your home, change the game. And as an adjunct to that, I love my Amazon Kindle. I'm a big fan of reading. I don't love reading off of my laptop, and I don't love reading off of tablets, because I find they can be distracting. What I mean is that I could, in the click of a couple buttons, go from reading a book to checking email, or to going on a YouTube and getting distracted. I love having dedicated things for dedicated purposes. And my Amazon Kindle is a dedicated thing that I use whenever I want to read. So even if I get a PDF of a book, I upload it to my Kindle. If I want to read a book on cameras or lighting and videos, I will go buy it and I'll send it to my Amazon Kindle, and I will go to a quiet space in my house and I will read. And I find it's a lot easier to stay focused and get the reading done and not be distracted by my computer. So I love Amazon, and I love the Kindle for helping me stay focused and be able to get the equipment that I need as soon as I can to grow and help my clients.
Although Jeff Bezos definitely does not need any more endorsements or any more money from anybody, but incredible resource.
Absolutely, Brandon. Do you have any other tools that you want to share, Brandon, or anything else you want to move on to?
Yeah, you know what? I got one little thing, and I've already spoke to it in the past, and so does Glenn. If you're looking for exercise resources, high quality equipment that's going to be game changing for you, I'm a huge proponent of Rogue Fitness and Prime Fitness. I really think between the two of them, you could build a home gym, build a big gym, whatever you want. With everything that they've got between those two companies. So they got small accessories, they got the big racks, they got tens of thousands of dollars worth of stuff. Whatever you want, they've got something that can help you out. I'm a huge fan of them. And I mean, honestly, I'm trying to showcase some of that stuff. Well, not the Rogue stuff. We don't have anything too crazy from them, but trying to showcase some of Prime stuff when I do the little tour of the video facility. Glenn, you mentioned you had some equipment as well?
I don't really actually have any equipment, but there are 2 or 3 other small things I'd like to share if that's okay.
Of course.
Beautiful. Um, uh, I mean, there's not a, I mean, so when we talk about websites, most every company has a website. YouTube's a website. This is a bit of a blurry category, but there is a website that stands alone that has no other companies attached to it and doesn't really have any other products on it other than research papers. So Sci-Hub has 85 plus million research papers on it. It is an excellent resource if you're the kind of person that likes to go right to the data and understands how to read research papers. It's a great place to go to get that information. A lot of times you have to pay 20, 30, 100, $200 for a research paper, and Sci-Hub in all of its different iterations, just go to Google and Google Sci-Hub because there's like a .ca, a .ts, there's tons of them. It's a great place to go and actually get to the source and read research papers. I go there all the time when I want to learn about a subject that Brandon brings up in a study group or that another colleague of mine mentions, and I want to get more information and get right to the literature myself. So I can't recommend Sci-Hub, 85 plus million papers on it. And the other one I like, and this might be a little bit more for personal trainers, but I actually really like the Physician's Drug Reference, or drugs.com. So we work with a lot of people at Strata who have advanced conditions. Some of them have osteoarthritis. Some of them have rheumatoid arthritis. Some of them have XYZ, you name it, cerebral palsy. We get a lot of unique people at our facility. And a lot of these people are on medications. And if you're working with someone to do exercise, you are trying to directly impact their physiology. And so understanding that the medications that they might be taking and how it's going to impact their physiology really goes a long way to helping you progress them in the optimal way. It also, just from a optics perspective, really makes you seem like you care. If you're going to go out of your way to figure out every little thing about them, clients love that. And I would say if you want to be the best exercise professional you can, you ought to be doing that anyway. So I can't recommend the Physician's Drug Reference or drugs.com enough. I think drugs.com actually has an app where you can pay for it per month and you have access to their information, but you can find out commonly prescribed drugs, what effects they're going to have on the system, the dosages that people are taking, and you can line it up with this reference. I mean, it's a great way to understand what's going on inside of your client, and it shows that you really care.
Amazing, Glenn. I think that's a great resource, and I couldn't echo enough that learning about that stuff as a personal trainer is a far underexplored resource and world of education. So thank you. I love that. So let's do this. Why don't we rapid fire off here at the end? Here are some of our favorite books, things that stand out to us. What do you think?
Sure. Why don't you go? Why don't you go? I'll go. You go. I'll go, and then we'll wrap it up there.
So I got a couple anatomy ones that are big ones for me, and I'm just looking at my list here. So pardon me looking off to the side. The first one is actually a book that's on my table way behind me, and it's by Anoka, and it's Neurokinematics of Movement. It is a dense read. It definitely is much more in the nervous system, neuromuscular side of learning about anatomy and how the nervous system communicates to orchestrate movement. But I cannot express how important it is. I would say that every chapter has some grain of information that helps with my decision making when working with people who are struggling with diseases, pains. Frankly, I just love it.
One of the books that I'm actually reading right now that I'm really enjoying is Evidence-Based Habit Building. It's by, oh my goodness, Dr. Mel Davis. She's actually one of the PhDs at Renaissance Periodization, and her field of study is actually like neurochemistry, maybe not neurochemistry, but neurophysiology, and how to change the brain and how to change the way you think about things. And she's got this great book that's very digestible, very easy to read for the lay person on how to change habits. Because I'm working on building some better routines and better habits for myself to improve some things that are my blind spot and also help impact my clients better. So I'm really enjoying her book right now, Evidence-Based Habit Building. I think it's available for 20 or 30 bucks on renaissanceperiodization.com in a PDF format. So for the money you pay, for the information you get, it's absolutely brilliant.
In that same vein, the one book that I want to throw out there is The Brain That Changes Itself by Norman Deutsch. And It's an old read. I read it probably about 10 years ago for the first time, maybe even longer now, 12 or 13. Anyway, to speaking and based from what Glenn said is, if you want to learn more about different anecdotes of how someone can experience a major level of trauma to their body and their brain, and how the brain quite literally via neuroplasticity can reorchestrate how it organizes information to help a human think and move and speak. There are tons of anecdotes, and I think there's a few different iterations of that book now, maybe 2 or 3 others. Anyway, The Brain That Changed Itself by Norman Deutsch. If you are whoever you are and you want to learn more about how amazing the body is, I could not recommend that book enough.
Yeah, I know a lot of people in our field really recommend that book. And the last book that I'm going to put out there is one that I read maybe 6 or 7 years ago when I was first exposed to resistance training specialists. And that is a book by Gary Bannister discussing some of the work from the late, great, oh my goodness. Then his name's on the tip of my tongue. What's his name, Brandon? I forget. Oh my goodness. Arthur Jones. That's the one. That's right. And it's called If You Like Exercise, Chances Are You're Doing It Wrong. And it's it essentially is a primer or an entryway into looking at force and resistance training and how the body actually does exercise, and why a lot of people are probably doing exercise wrong or not at least looking at the full picture. It's easy to digest. It is a little cheek and tongue at times, so be prepared for that. But I find it a really enjoyable read. It's relatively short compared to a lot of other exercise and fitness books. And again, it's talking about thinking and how we look at exercise more than actually telling you how to exercise. But I highly recommend it for pretty much everybody. I loved it. It's a fantastic book. One of my favorite exercise books for sure that I keep going back to for kicks and just because it's a lot of fun.
Fantastic. My last one I'm going to recommend, and I did pull my phone up and search this because I made a mistake with the author. It is Seth Godin's book, Tribes. I think it's a fantastic book. I am someone who is kind of much more of a rather operate on my own kind of person in many ways. And over the years, I've really had to really relearn and learn about the value of relationships and community. And I mean, honestly, in most cases, I would rather go into a shed, have drums, have a book, put my head down and operate. But through running this business, coming up to 6 years, one of the most powerful things that I think that I've tried to do in here, that I don't know if it's different than other places, is building a sense of community where Glenn and I are working on projects, and it's not, the Brandon show or the Glenn show. Well, in this case it is for both of us. But there's a lot of people. I would say that everyone in this business are superstars, and each superstar creates this Avengers of a community. And that same with our clients in different ways. And so I would say Seth Godin's book, Tribes, is a great book to just help you think more about the people that are around you and your tribe.
That's beautiful, Brendan. I agree. I love Seth Godin in general. He is an outside the box thinker. And it's funny because I think a lot of the content that you and I both like to read are from people who are outside the box thinkers. So I absolutely love that book. I would also recommend for my pick. Oh, do we do pick of the weeks right now? I forget.
I feel like we're just going to keep rolling. This is a whole pick of the week section. Right. So let's just button these up.
Okay.
Because these are picks of the week.
I mean, absolute pick of the lifetime almost. So Brandon, I'm just going to run into my pick of the week if that's okay. Because for some reason, that's where my brain was. Is that all right with you?
Let's do it.
Beautiful. So my pick of the week is another book I'm reading right now. It's called Fortitude by Dan Crenshaw. And it's essentially about strengthening your resolve and strengthening your mindset and building discipline. Dan Crenshaw is a congressman, I think for Texas in the United States, but he was in the Army and he was, I guess, in Afghanistan, and he hit an IED in a building. And shrapnel went right through him, right into his eye, had multiple surgeries. And he discusses his recovery into where he is today. And also, obviously, along the way, there are his versions of how to stay focused and disciplined in a world that's telling you not to do what you think is in your own best interest, or not do what is going to be best for you. So for me, just for my own personal work, I'm really working on building my discipline and my fortitude right now. You can kind of see why I'm reading this book, why I'm really into evidence-based habit building. I'm trying to really, for 2021, develop some really great habits and a really strong mindset and resolve, so that when I come up against barriers, whether it's people who are telling me I can't do things, in whatever context, or whether I'm getting my own way, I've got the tools and the resources and the resolve and the habits to move forward in a positive direction in 2021. So my pick of the week, Dan Crenshaw's Fortitude. It's a great book, available on Kindle right now, I think for like 12 or 15 bucks. So I love it. I highly recommend it so far.
Beautiful. And my pick of the week is another resource, but it's slightly more, I hate using it, but it's a bit more egocentric, is that I really want to just do a shout out to the study groups that we do here and the educational stuff that we do here. I would say that I know some really, really brilliant people that have courses, and I would say that I'm definitely not at their level as an educator, and I don't think anyone here is, but I think everyone here at Strata has something to offer, and I try to do everything I possibly can to make sure that our twice a week study groups are as informative, pragmatic, and reviewing basics, but also going as advanced as we can to share as much as we possibly can. So my pick of the week is the community of our Strata Biomechanics study groups. I absolutely love it. It's a highlight of the week. It's probably the only thing in the week that I get a little nervous about each time, because it's basically doing 2 presentations a week to a bunch of people that I know really well. But I would definitely recommend it. And if you're a trainer and you want to be involved with that, I'd love to have you. By the time you listen to this, I will have done a free webinar on rethinking warm-up post-activation potentiation, which is an introduction to my full course, and would love to have anybody join that wants to join when we get the online Zoom course going.
Brandon, I think you're being modest. I think you're a wonderful educator. I really do believe that. And I think, I don't know if you're giving yourself enough credit, but you do teach multiple courses. You teach us every week. So really internalize that, because you are a wonderful educator. And I know that the nature of human beings is always room to improve. And that's what you get when you have a growth mindset like you do. But you are a tremendous educator. So please, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You're doing an amazing job with this podcast, educating people, and at the study groups and in the courses. So keep it up, please.
Oh, you're too kind, Glenn. Thank you very much. So everyone, thank you so much for checking out this episode. Glenn and I were really excited to do it. This is Strata's Minds on Muscle podcast. Glenn and I love doing this each week, and hope you guys are enjoying it too. Please, if you're enjoying this show, please do us a favor. Leave a comment on the YouTube channel. Give us a 5-star rating anywhere you can. Tell people about it, because all we want to do is we want to share information and resources to people so people can continue to do what they love and learn more about being successful as trainers. Glenn, where can people find us?
We are on Podbean, YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. And when this whole pandemic blows over, you can find us in Newmarket. We're by Leslie and Davis Drive in our brick and mortar location. Come by. We'll keep it safe. We'll keep it healthy. That's something that we're really big on. We're always trying to improve that at the facility. I think we do a pretty good job of it. And if you are looking for help with your physical body and nothing else seems to work, try the muscle system care stuff that we have, because we've had a lot of people with a lot of success. And not to toot our own horn, but I really do think that we're doing some of the best exercise in the world. And but take it with a grain of salt. Come in, be skeptical, ask us some questions. We at the end of the day just want to help everybody here. So that's us. That's where you can find us. It's a little bit about us. And as usual, episodes coming out every Monday. So look for more of this. We love doing it.
Thanks, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful week. We'll see you on the other side.
Brandon, take care. Everybody at home, take care. We love you.